an animal that punches faster than a bullet, a creature that is biologically immortal, a shrimp that creates a flash of plasma hotter than the surface of the sun. These aren't science fiction, they're real animals living on Earth right now. And the science behind them is even stranger than you think. Evolution has had 3.5 billion years to experiment, and some of the results are so extreme, so physically impossible looking, that scientists genuinely struggle to explain how they work. Today, we're counting down 10 real animals that defy everything we think we know about biology. Some of them live in your ocean, one might be living in your garden, and all of them will change how you see life on this planet. Let's start with something small, dangerously small. Meet the Mantis shrimp. It's about 4 inches long. It lives on coral reefs, and it hits harder than almost any animal on Earth. Its club-like claws strike at 50 miles per hour. That's the acceleration of a .22 caliber bullet. The force it generates, 1,500 newtons. Enough to crack aquarium glass, and it doesn't even have to touch its target. When the Mantis shrimp strikes, it creates a cavitation bubble, a flash of superheated plasma that reaches 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit. A shockwave of pure energy, launched by a shrimp. But here's the thing, the punch is almost the least impressive part. The Mantis shrimp has 16 types of color receptors in its eyes. Humans have 3. It can see polarized light, infrared, and ultraviolet simultaneously. Scientists are now studying those eyes because they can detect cancer cells that human technology struggles to identify. A 4-inch shrimp might just revolutionize cancer screening. This next one is 0.5 millimeter long. You've probably walked past thousands of them today, and it's arguably the most indestructible thing alive. The tardigrade, also called the water bear, looks like a tiny 8-legged caterpillar under a microscope, and it has survived conditions that should make life absolutely impossible. Minus 272 degrees Celsius. Survived. That's 1 degree above absolute zero, the coldest temperature that can exist. 150 degrees Celsius. Survived. The vacuum of space, with no atmosphere and full cosmic radiation. Survived. Radiation doses 1,000 times the lethal level for humans. Survived. How? When conditions become extreme, the tardigrade enters a state called cryptobiosis. It pulls in all its limbs, expels all water from its body, and essentially turns into a glass. All biological processes stop. It becomes matter. Not alive, not dead. Then, when water returns, it wakes up. Scientists believe tardigrades have survived all 5 of Earth's mass extinctions. And here's what keeps researchers up at night. The proteins tardigrades use to protect their DNA during cryptobiosis might be engineerable into human cells. We could potentially use them to protect astronauts from deep space radiation. The most indestructible creature on Earth is microscopic, and it might save human lives in space. But wait, what if an animal didn't just survive extreme conditions? What if it never had to die at all? Turritopsis dohrnii, the immortal jellyfish, is the only known biologically immortal animal. When it experiences stress, illness, or old age, it does something no other creature on Earth can do. It reverts. The adult jellyfish transforms back into its juvenile polyp form. Starts life over, completely. Scientists call it transdifferentiation. Cells from a mature adult literally become a different type of cell entirely. Like if you, at age 70, could transform your heart cells back into stem cells and restart development from scratch. Theoretically, this jellyfish can do this cycle indefinitely. It is, for all practical purposes, immortal. And here's the uncomfortable truth. It's currently spreading across the world's oceans as an invasive species, moving through ballast water from ships. An immortal organism with no natural predator in new environments, expanding into every ocean on Earth. We may have already lost count of how many there are. The axolotl is a Mexican salamander found in mountain lakes outside Mexico City. And it can do something that should be impossible for a vertebrate animal. It regrows entire limbs, eyes, heart tissue, spinal cord, parts of its own brain, not scar tissue. Perfect, functional, original tissue. Without any trace that damage ever occurred. Humans heal with scar tissue. It's imperfect, slow, and permanent. The axolotl doesn't scar, it rebuilds. Its genome is 10 times larger than the human genome, the biggest genome ever sequenced in an animal. Scientists are methodically mapping the genetic instructions that tell the axolotl's cells, rebuild the limb here. If we could replicate those instructions in human biology, we might one day regenerate a lost hand or repair a damaged heart without surgery. The axolotl is critically endangered. Its lake habitat has shrunk to almost nothing. We may lose the animal that holds the key to regenerative medicine before we finish reading its genome. The pistol shrimp is only 2 inches long, but pound for pound, it's the loudest animal on the planet. Its snapping claw fires a jet of water at 62 miles per hour. That jet creates a cavitation bubble reaching 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit, briefly as hot as the surface of the sun. The collapse produces a flash of light called sonoluminescence and a shockwave at 218 decibels. A gunshot is 140 decibels. A rocket launch is 180. This 2-inch shrimp is louder than a rocket. During World War II, submarines hid in pistol shrimp colonies to avoid sonar detection. The ocean is already hosting a war between things we barely know exist. In 1998, biologists in Indonesia discovered an octopus nobody had documented before. Not because it was hidden, because it was invisible. The mimic octopus can impersonate over 15 species. It physically reshapes its body, repositions its limbs, and changes its movement. Facing a predatory fish, it becomes a lionfish. Threatened by a damselfish that avoids sea snakes, it impersonates a sea snake's motion, and scientists believe it chooses which species to mimic based on the predator it's facing. It doesn't just disguise itself, it selects the right costume for the audience. The mimic octopus is making tactical decisions. When the first platypus arrived in Britain in 1799, scientists thought it was a hoax, a duck's bill sewn onto a beaver. They were wrong. It's a mammal that lays eggs. Its bill detects the electrical fields of its prey. Males have venomous spurs. It has no stomach. It has 10 sex chromosomes. Humans have 2. And under ultraviolet light, its fur glows blue-green. Nobody knows why. The platypus reads like evolution assembled it from the spare parts of 5 different lineages. It shouldn't work, and yet it has, unchanged, for over 100 million years. The lyrebird, found in Australian rainforests, is arguably the greatest sound mimic on Earth. Its vocal organ can reproduce almost any sound with near-perfect accuracy. Chainsaws, camera shutters, car alarms, crying babies, human voices, even music. One lyrebird reproduced the exact melody of a flute a zookeeper had played, then worked it into its mating display. Its call is so complex that even its own offspring can't fully learn it. And it does all of this purely to attract a mate. The naked mole rat is not beautiful, but it may be the most medically important mammal alive. It lives 37 years, 10 times longer than similar rodents. It feels no pain from acid. It can survive 18 minutes with 0 oxygen, and it has never once been documented developing cancer, not once. It produces a sugar molecule called hyaluronan that packs its cells so tightly they trigger a stop-growing signal before tumors can form. Scientists have already transferred this mechanism to human cells. The hairless creature you'd never want as a pet may be what finally cracks cancer. We saved the most dramatic for last. The Bombardier beetle looks unremarkable, black and orange, half an inch long, but inside its abdomen are 2 chemical chambers. When threatened, it mixes hydroquinone and hydrogen peroxide in an explosive reaction at 100 degrees Celsius, firing a boiling jet of toxic gas 500 times per second. No other animal generates a controlled chemical explosion inside its body. And the most incredible moment in its history, a Japanese toad swallowed one whole, and the beetle sprayed from inside the stomach. The toad vomited it out, alive, 44 minutes later. The Bombardier beetle survived being swallowed. By firing a chemical weapon. From the inside, from a shrimp that punches plasma into existence, to a jellyfish that reverses aging, to a beetle that fights back from inside a predator, Earth is already hosting life that reads like science fiction. If biology can produce these creatures, then the limits of what's possible on this planet are far wider than we think. What surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more wild science like this, our next video will do exactly that. See you there.